What's going on, Jeromes? We are at an undisclosed location. Well, not right now, but we're recording this a little bit earlier. But of course, we know what happens when undisclosed locations go down. Bring on OBJ. But we're doing a little bit of Q&A, so let's fire it up. First up, Vikings Nation. Are there any traits in Zimmer's coaching that you wish Kevin O'Connell was better at? Overall, I like what Kevin O'Connell a lot better with his game decisions, leadership compared to Zimmer. Just seeing if anything came to mind to you really liked about Zimmer when he was here. The 2017 defense. And the fact that Zimmer was super aggro on third down and allowing Harrison Smith to be Harrison Smith. But other than that, I think Kevin O'Connell is just fantastic. Top Tim 08. Did you catch a smile on Kevin O'Connell's face walking away from talking to Belichick after the game? The feeling of beating someone who fired you, priceless. I mean, yeah, even though Belichick's had nothing but glowing things to say about Kevin O'Connell. But, I mean, yeah, Kevin O'Connell, he was a player first and got drafted in the third round. I mean, it's not a seventh round pick. Third round is expecting to be at least a high caliber backup, maybe even a future starter, but, well, not behind Tom Brady. You know what I mean? But then, the next year you get cut in training camp. And it's rough. It's rough, man. Vikings Nation. I feel like Kirk is constantly saying this, but it seems like anything this team does, they do together. I like this environment. It's perfect for the young veteran guys to grow together, whether they win a close game, get blown out. It's a great time to be a fan of this team. And this may just be recency bias or cognitive dissonance, but even this offseason, it seemed like guys were getting together, whether it be a bunch of the defensive guys. Zadarius Smith hadn't played it down for the Vikings yet, was getting guys together for dinner at his place and then going to a game and just hanging out. It felt like this team already had more chemistry. And maybe in previous years, I mean, sure, maybe guys hung out, guys traveled together, but it didn't feel like there was the camaraderie like there was coming into this year. And I think that the team fighting for each other, winning these close games, having success, I don't think that's an accident. I don't think that the two are mutually exclusive. I think they are correlated. Janky, did you notice how more quick Kirk was with the ball this game? I don't know about you, but it was a whole lot different. Kirk could give a few examples, but you go, Andy. Kirk was getting the ball out quick. I mean, they were still getting pressure on him to a degree, but you were seeing a lot more three-step drops as opposed to 5 and 7. And I think in the Dallas game, they just failed to adjust. Both the offensive line, both Kevin O'Connell, the play caller, both Kirk Cousins, and it was just a mess all the way around. But they did a lot better on a short week against the Patriots. And Kirk, I mean, being sacked 7 times and being pressured 63% of your dropbacks, that will speed up your internal clock a little bit. Carter Boyd. Is stuffing truly the best Thanksgiving side dish? Yes or yes? I mean, it's up there. So, I mean, all stuffing is good. Like, even stovetop stuffing from a box, that's good. The breadcrumbs that you buy in the bag, those are good. The one that you stuff in the turkey, those are good. The one, so I really like a sage Italian sausage. And then also have all the giblets and neck meat all up in the stuffing, too. I mean, that's good. Stuffing's really good, but it's so weird. Like, every single year this happens, like, you're reminded, oh yeah, stuffing is really good, and then you don't really have it again ever. Who in March on like a random weeknight Tuesday has stuffing and pork chops? Or I don't know. It just doesn't happen, man. But I will say the green bean casserole is pretty good too. ZIQ. Top 3 favorite Vikings on this team right now. Skull Lover videos. Hey, thank you. Jefferson. Darisaw and Zadarius. Yeah, those are the top 3 right now. It hurts my heart that Harrison got supplanted, but it's a very flat top 3. But Steve Shiesty. Last Q&A, I asked about Excel sheets and how far they go back. The Jeromes demand Google Docs we want access. Excel sheets, how far they go back? I don't know. So we have like templates for when we're doing like post-game show, pre-game show, that stuff. But I don't know, just like keeping records and data, we don't really do that. Al, there's much smarter people than I who do that. Al Maya Company. Do you think Ed will have to cost us a game with that soft marshmallowy defense before he is gone? It feels like the defense is going to cost us a playoff game if it stays like this. Well, I mean, it already cost them the Eagles and the Cowboys game. But Like, if you're gonna go down swinging. Just sitting back and watching life happen and letting the defense do whatever or offense do whatever to you. It's no. Rudy Gobert. What are your top 3 receivers of all time? Do you think Justin Jefferson could finish his career up there? Top 3 of all time for me. I'll do top 4. So Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, Fitz, and Chris Carter. And I think that Jefferson could easily ascend those heights at the end of his career. Aaron Julius. What do you think the Vikings should target if they draft next year? Since Kirk will be 35 next season, do you think that they should be considering quarterback, also kicker, and or defense? Will cost us if we don't do anything about it. So agree on the latter. And I think it all depends what happens in free agency, because this team could be way different next year, because they could move on from the contracts of Dalvin, Thielen, Harrison Smith, Eric Kendricks, pending what happens with Daniil. He may not be back next year. So, I mean, the Vikings may have some significant draft needs that aren't apparent right now. But quarterback-wise, so Anthony Richardson is declaring. Now, Richardson needs a lot of work as a passer. Like, the accuracy needs to get together. His footwork can be spotty at times. But just the raw tools that he has, it's really intriguing. And it's not dissimilar from Josh Allen or Cam Newton, where great athlete, great running quarterback, big-time arm. But I do think that Richardson, he would come in. The Vikings could potentially get him, because I think there will be a run on quarterbacks. I don't know if Richardson goes first round. He may. But, man, just having Richardson sit behind Kirk for 2, maybe 3 years, and Kevin O'Connell is with him every step of the way as he breaks down his mechanics, learns to be an NFL quarterback, and is also in on some sub-package like red zone wildcat quarterback stuff. Whew, baby, come on. H. Also, he's a really good leader too. Love AR. Great team win. I think Duke Shelley can be a solid backup. I love Duke Shelley. I just love his attitude and confidence out there, where, I mean, cornerbacks have to forget about the last play so they can make the next one. And, I mean, Duke Shelley had some plays put on him by Devontae Parker, but he showed up when it mattered. And I love Duke Shelley. He's fantastic, man. Super Core 98. What are your biggest critiques of KOC so far? I would say maybe not. Well, who really knows what's going on with the defense? Even though obviously that's not his side of the ball. He is the head coach of the entire team. And, I mean, he may be signing off on the defense that Donatell is playing. But if he's not, he needs to say something. Also, the emotional letdown, Philly, and then, of course, Dallas after the Buffalo game. But I think that's tough overall. But that is on him. That is the head coach's job, to get this team emotionally up for a game or emotionally down and get ready for the next game. But the great thing about O'Connell is that he's 11 games in, and it does seem that he learns from his mistakes. I think that he is very good at managing a game for a first-year head coach. I think that he's getting better as well as a play caller. Great in opening drives, sort of lulls at times in the second and third quarter, but they get together in crunch time. But improving in all those little areas makes sense. Rogue Renegade. We absolutely need to see Kirk Thuggins with some grills? Yes or yes? Absolutely. If and when the Vikings win the Super Bowl, let me see your grills. Krim, it's clear Ed Donatell's defense is going to hinder us. With that being said, is this offense good enough to put up 30 points or are the playoffs to carry the defense? Yes. But also, I think that the defense, it's sort of like the 06 Colts defense, where that defense wasn't stopping anyone, but they were opportunistic when the offense gave them a double-digit lead. And the other offense got one-dimensional, and they were able to pin their ears back because they had Freeney, they had Mathis. I think Bob Sanders is on that team. So the defenses are pretty similar, where if the Vikings can get a large enough lead where the other team has to throw, all of a sudden that pass rush gets stanky. All of a sudden those turnovers happen. All of a sudden you're looking good. All right. I mean, you saw that, the final 2 drives against the Patriots. L. Skinner 87. 2 questions. In accordance to what Hawkinson is saying post-game and how he actually looks like a bona fide Viking, do you see Hawkinson being a Viking for 8 to 10 years? Yes. I think he'll be extended. I mean, Kwesi didn't make that trade just to have a rental tight end. I mean, I think that Hawkinson and Jefferson are going to be big parts of this offense for many years to come. Who would you draft at wide receiver? Year 3 Randy Moss or year 3 Justin Jefferson? Moss was incredibly athletic, but Jefferson seems to be the ultimate team-friendly wide receiver. No wrong answers. Just want to hear your opinion. I think Randy Moss was just such a freakish outlier where it's so weird. And Jefferson is obviously elite, obviously the best receiver in the game, but he's more of a traditional wide receiver, if that makes sense. But Randy Moss was just a force of freaking nature, and you really can't go wrong. So toss a coin. IDK. Imagine Brian Asamoah at running back. He would be best of all time. He probably would be pretty good. JFK USA 123. What do you think of the narrative Kirk just throwing up to Jefferson, downplaying the fact that he's been playing good football, but Aaron Rodgers, blah, 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 da, da, da. Will Kirk ever be able to get respect from the national media? No, he won't. I think that the media has sort of warmed up to making fun of Kirk Cousins, but laughing with him versus at him, as they have in previous years. I mean, with the whole Kirko chain stuff. But, I mean, Cousins has dropped some dimes. Absolutely. Now, he'll serve up a duck or a hospital ball or two, but what quarterback doesn't? But I think overall Kirk has been really dialed in this year. And also, with all the records that Jefferson has set in his first 3 years, who's throwing him the football? Exactly. K. Fizzle. Stuffing is the unsung hero of Thanksgiving meals, yes or no? Yes. D. Delwo. Am I really supposed to pull for the Packers on Sunday night? Don't root for the Packers to win, root for the Eagles to lose. Or something like that. Benedict Klein, what's your opinion on Clutch Cousins this year so far? 5 game-winning drives? Can't complain. He's throwing some picks, and he's not putting up monster numbers in terms of like yardage, but when you need a drive, when you need a big-time throw, Kirk Cousins is delivering, man. The superior affection. Being only one of the past 11 Super Bowl winners have had a bottom third defense, now 21st in points, 31st in yards. How can the team overcome that in the playoffs? Well, the Vikings do have that pass rush in their back pocket and also their turnover production, although there is some puck luck in sacks and turnovers. But like I said, where the Vikings defense has to be more aggressive, and the Vikings offense potentially putting them in positive situations could certainly help that. But yeah, they got to be more aggro. Like if they're just sitting back, and if the Vikings are in a close game or are even down, it's just going to snowball. That was exactly what happened in the Dallas game. Derek Baker, you're at an undisclosed location. Perhaps the Vikings will sign OBJ after all. Question, given all the weapons the Vikings have, could the Vikings really get their money's worth from OBJ? Yes. I think they certainly could. Even though Thielen, his ankle is, he's got 10 days off to rest and made some big-time plays, got the game winner. KJ is obviously very good in clutch situations, just opening things up more with Beckham. Also, but it is telling, though. I mean, the Vikings are contending, and also given OBJ's ties with Kevin O'Connell as well as all the LSU players on the Vikings, the fact that there hasn't been a whiff of connection between OBJ and the Vikings, maybe it does all come down to Kwesi, because Kwesi is the one with the final say, because he is the boss. He is the GM, and Kwesi was in Cleveland when OBJ was there and was cut. So maybe that's it. Stefan Sabachow. Saad Bin now. Food related, your favorite burger, pizza, and Chinese food spots. So we talk about like national chains. Oh, well, we could do local and national chains. So burger wise, local, I love the Nook and Blue Door Pub. Also, I prefer Matt's Bar. Yeah. Burger nationally, I really like Culver's. I mean, let's be honest here. It's one of the few things that Wisconsin gets right. Yeah. Pizza wise, so we generally make our own pizza. It's actually pizza night tonight, so I'm pretty excited about that. But locally, I like anything that's wood-fired pizza. There's a like Punch Pizza. There's a lot of brick oven pizza places that have been popping up. I like Pizza Luce. I know some people like it, some people don't. Black Sheep Pizza was amazing. Nationally, so I feel like nationally, like there's no one that's really good, like really, really good, but it's more nostalgic stuff. Like kids who are people who grew up as kids eating Domino's, they like Domino's. Growing up eating Papa John's, I like Papa John's. I grew up, we would get Pizza Hut, so I like Pizza Hut. Chinese food spots, I don't know. We've kind of got, so there's a local place where I don't want to say because we live close to it and I don't want people to know where I live, but So we go there. I really enjoy supporting local family-owned businesses. So like when we go out and we get Chinese or we get a lot of Vietnamese food. We get sushi too. Really like supporting the local family-owned spots. So I mean, there. Tristan D. All the PF Chang's is really good. So back in the day, there in Rochester, there was a place called Wong's Cafe. When it was downtown, it was a great location. It was high-end Chinese food, and it always felt like an event. But unfortunately, they closed and they moved. It's not the same. Tristan D. I feel like in the draft next year, our top priorities should be wide receiver and kicker. I don't know. The Vikings draft a first-round kicker. Fire everyone. Kyle Engstrom. I feel like this upcoming draft and free agency, we need to upgrade the defense and kicker, obviously. Yes. Great minds or something. Wyatt 7613. What's more important, having talented players or great coaching? I got into a debate with someone saying talented players is much more important than good coaching. Personally, I completely disagree with the idea, but I'd like to know what you think. I think you have to have a certain baseline level of talent where, I mean, if you got 11 of us, we're not going to beat Alabama, right? But I do think that if talent is close, it does come down to coaching. It does come down to, and beyond just like in-game adjustments and play calling, we're talking about teaching of the game, teaching of fundamentals, teaching of how to play together, teaching of the scheme and assignments and understanding of football. I mean, that really comes into play versus, you could have a group of really of more talented players, but if they're just out there freelancing, getting by on their God-given gifts, I'll take the team with slightly less talent and better coaching every single time. All right, but at a certain point, the gap is too much. Like you could have the best coach Division III team, and you're not going to beat Georgia, right? And Georgia could just show up with Georgia could just have the players and no coaching staff throughout the game or week of preparation, and they would still destroy, right? Should we take 2 or 3 false starts so extra points so Greg makes them? Well, you can't be past 50 because he'll miss those too. Michael Miller. What kickers are available because Greg be missing extra points like he's doing on purpose? Skull beat the Jets. Rodrigo, Blankenship, or bust. That's it. Tatord Goat. Who's your favorite player of all time? Mine is Walter Payton. I did get a lot of respect for Walter Payton because I listened to his biography by Jeff Pearlman, Sweetness. It was really good. He's a complicated man, but fantastic player. My favorite player of all time is Randy Moss because he came up in '98 when I was just really, really getting into football, really getting into the draft, and he was my first draft crush, and it was just amazing, man. Showdown, should Jefferson be throwing the ball more? Was a good pass. It was a good pass. And Jefferson, he's got a decent arm. In fact, I actually think that maybe they should run the double pass more. Good. Great coaches peak their team at the right time in the season, no matter what sport. I'd say I was a D1 wrestler, so I know a little about this. Are we playing poker right now? Or the Vikings team playbook and all aspects of team? Yes. Or no. One of the two. Josh House. Can the Vikings win in a blowout of any of their remaining games? Well, it would be nice to blow out the Packers, just say screw them. But, given that a bunch of these games are at home, I mean, it's possible. I mean, there are a couple of good defenses on the remaining schedule, though. But, yeah, just a nice, 38-7 type blowout would be just beautiful. Actually, no, screw it. 40-3. Let's do a team dirty like that. Rex Dink. Sweet potatoes with or without tiny marshmallows or big marshmallows. I like to call them mouth pillows. I think tiny marshmallows because the tiny marshmallows, you get more surface area, so you can get more caramelization. Versus if you got the big marshmallows, you'll get a little bit on the outside, but then it's just like soft and marshmallowy, like Downhill's defense. Gone for days. Name the next 5 Vikings in order to go into the Ring of Honor. I will go Greenway. Everson. B-Rob is close. Then a gap, and then Harrison, Thielen, and then, I mean, they got to put Adrian in, right? Yeah, there you go. Tim Weibel. How do you bet jelly beans? I'm in Minnesota and don't know where to bet my jelly beans. I've tried some apps, but won't let me because I'm in Minnesota. This seems like a conversation for a different time. Yeah. Do you think Ed D has got a poker face when it comes to defense till the next playoffs? So basically just playing like a vanilla defense, like it's preseason. Nah, it's regular season. Get after it. Mitchell Wangler. Got any good pork belly recipes? So we do a soy, miso, and ginger beer braise on the pork belly. So get that thing nice and tender, and then right at the end, so leave it. So once you get up to temp, and then leave it in that braising liquid. Otherwise, it seizes up. But right as you're about to serve and eat, slice that thing up, and you can sear it off in a really super hot pan. I like a little bit of avocado oil, and it's just fantastic, man. It's just really good. Do a little like hoisin or sesame oil drizzle over the top, some sesame seeds and some scallions. Baby, you got stew going. Also, cut it into bite-sized pieces. I mean, a big old slab. I mean, it looks good, but it, like, eating-wise, no. Tristan D. What will it take for the Vikings to fire Ed Donatel when he costs us a playoff game? I find it hard to believe Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell think he is a good defense coordinator. Well, he may retire this offseason. Pettin may be in at DC. That would make a lot of sense. Or Mike Smith, the outside linebackers coach. I think that he's been deserving of a DC gig at some point. Also, he's sort of like Mike Pettin's mentee. Yeah, something like that. Wild Bumby Lee. Will our Vikings ever have offensive line like Stringer, McDaniel, Christie, Dixon, and Big Stoos in an undisclosed location? Dreamgirls? No. But I think given the fact that the Vikings and most of the NFL, they've gotten away from like the big nasty offensive linemen, although there could be a swing back towards that. Because as defenses are being lighter and lighter, maybe just having oversized dudes up front, maybe that's the way to go. But I think the Vikings sticking with the outside zone scheme, so yeah, you do have smaller, quicker, more athletic offensive linemen. Yeah, so probably not anytime soon. Gershong, do we need a new kicker? Yes. Hayden Wayne, why hasn't Donatel changed his scheme, and why hasn't him or Joseph been fired, especially with how many missed PAT Joseph has? That's a very good question. Lauren, and we don't know. Jackson Lavin, can you gritty better than Blake Brandel? Yes. Do you think kicking the shart out of Bill Belichick will motivate Kevin O'Connell to have another level, another level? Billy, when you talk to him, when you talk at a presser, I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean, that has to be a confidence booster for Kevin O'Connell as well as the team. And then lastly, Tristan D. It's kind of hilarious, but salty. Patriots fans are actually blaming the refs for their loss to us, even though all the refs, all the calls were good calls. One bad call was a Jefferson false start. So if anything, we should be complaining. And actually, that one, by the letter of the law, that one is fine because on the opposite side of the play, you don't get protection. So you'll often see when a defensive player jumps into the neutral zone, an offensive player will intentionally false start or flinch or tap them on the head, so they get protection. But Jefferson doesn't on the other side of the formation. I didn't know that part of the rule. So I mean, Jefferson, the opposite defensive end could jump, and then Jefferson could false start just to try and seal that in, and it doesn't work. So that's fine. But I think that Hunter Henry call could have gone either way. I was leaning towards incomplete, but if they had ruled it complete, I wouldn't have been overly upset. Like, this wasn't a Gabe Davis situation where that one didn't even get reviewed, but it was close. It was really close, but it is kind of nice when calls go in your favor, especially when they're accurate. So that's it. That is the undisclosed location Q&A. Thanks for everyone who tossed in a couple questions. You guys are the best. Skol, production value.